the questions. Can you tell us a little about who you are, your testimony, and what do you do?
Well, I got saved when I was a teenager by a pastor by the name of Joe Vasic. He started attending his church as a teenager, and he led me to the Lord in his office on a Sunday afternoon at around 4:30 on April 15th. And after that, he brought me out to youth conference. And in the last session of youth conference, I heard the preacher preach. And then Brother Charlie Clark and a couple of tour members were singing a song, and they sang it about 7 times while the Lord was convicting my heart about walking forward and surrendering my life to Him. And I finally did on the 7th time that they went through the song, and surrendered my life to God. And then a couple years later, came out to Howes Anderson, and then after Howes Anderson, I got married, and then started working here at First Baptist Church.
Thank you very much. Did you grow up in a church-friendly household?
My parents attended church. We went to a church in Brooklyn, and then we went to another church after I moved out of Brooklyn to Connecticut. My parents started attending a church which wasn't really a fundamental church. It didn't really soul win or it was just kind of a church that you just kind of went through the motions. And I attended there for a few years before we left that church. Things just started getting stagnant, and nothing was really happening, and we weren't really growing in the Lord. So that's when God moved us to Brother Joe Vasic's church just across town. And that's when I started hearing some good Bible preaching and soul winning, and got discipled and got called to preach and started growing in the Lord.
Thank you. Who was a mentor in your life that encouraged you to strive for a walk with God?
I can think of a lot of mentors in my life. In my life, I can think about a lot of times that I've done. I think that I can't really name it down to one person. I can't just single out one person.
Do your top three.
But I can say this as a whole, my dad is a really big part of my life. I love my dad, and my dad obviously tried to raise me right, and I have a lot of love and respect for my dad. And so he definitely helped me growing up. But I can think of maybe a dozen other men throughout my life that have really inspired me to just have a walk with the Lord and do the best in my life and really help me and develop me. And that's probably what I would say about the mentors, not just in my own life. I can think of the advice somebody gave me. It said, always find people that are a couple of years ahead of you. Maybe it's 1 year ahead of you, or 5 years ahead of you, or 10 years ahead of you, and 20 years ahead of you. Men that you can find in all those different categories that you could say, hey, that guy is a guy that I want to be a year from now. So, I would surround myself around that guy. I have a good friend, best friend that I grew up with, been friends for about almost 30 years, and he's just a year older than me, but he's somebody in my life that I can get some advice from. He's just a year ahead of me, but sometimes I look and say, well, that's where I want to be a year from now. And I could see people that are 20 years older than I am that I'd say, well, that kind of guy is who I'd like to be in 20 years, so I surround myself around that person. Not putting them on a pedestal, understanding that they're human beings, but, if you're out there and you are you're struggling, you need some help, it's good to find people around you, good mentors that you can surround yourself with that can help you get to the next level of where you want to be and help the Lord bless your life and for you to be successful.
Thank you. We can all look at that as an advice to look up to other people. What made you want to attend Howes Anderson College? How did you decide on your major?
I decided to attend Howes Anderson College for Ricky Torres and Chicagoland Teens. I'm just kidding. No, I decided to come to Howes Anderson for the bus ministry. I was born in New York City, and I love inner city ministries. It's a heart and a passion of mine, and seeing a place that I got training and I was able to do it in an urban environment was definitely a plus for me, and that's really what sold me over to come to Howes Anderson. And just a legacy. It's been around for a long time. Many pastors and missionaries and even presidents and pastors of other Bible colleges, 9 times out of 10 they've graduated from Howes Anderson first. So, why not just get it from the source? So I came here, and I did pastoral theology, and then I did a couple minors, and then I also stayed after I finished my bachelor's degree, and I interned for Brother Mark Duff. and he really helped grow and help me. And so I ended up interning him for about a year and a half, and then I left Hyles Anderson with my master's degree.
Wow, it's a good story there. How has media contributed to doing the work of the gospel? And for kids who want to pursue a career in media, how should they go about it?
So media is something that is not just, it's really a passion, because technology is growing every single day, and it's something that you need to not just have as a job, but it's something that's a passion of trying to find new and innovative ways to get the gospel out. You know, a couple weeks ago, we didn't have to, I remember Frankie texting me a couple weeks ago asking me, how do we do this, how do we do that? And a lot of the stuff that they do here on the Chicagoland Teens page is just stuff that him and the guys just figured out on their own. It was just, hey, we got to figure it out. We got to be innovative. We got to figure out a way to connect. And that's the exciting part. The exciting part is just finding new, innovative ways to get the gospel out, to connect with people, and using that through the medium of whatever you have available to you. We have live stream that's available to us. That's a medium. You know, Brother Rick's been sending out letters. That's another way. You guys have been doing Zoom meetings and connecting, not as just watching a video, but connecting with one another, and just finding new and innovative ways to connect with people, but always trying to learn new technology and trying to figure out how you can use that technology to reach people with the gospel and to touch somebody's heart with Jesus Christ.
Amen. I love media. What does a Chicagoland teen mean to you?
A Chicagoland teen?
A Chicagoland teen. A Chicagoland teen.
Man, that's such like a...
It's a vague question.
A vague question. What does it mean to me?
What does a Chicagoland teen mean to you? When someone says, oh, he's a Chicagoland teen, what does that mean to you?
It's somebody who's dedicated. You know, Chicagoland teens come to church on their own most of the time. They've come to church on their own. There's nobody at home pushing them out the door. You know, you guys travel the most miles to come to church. You stay the longest sometimes. You stay all day Sunday, all afternoon, all night. You get home really late and get picked up really early. Some of you are City Baptist students who spend more time on a bus and coming to and from school every single day, and then try to visit on the weekends too, on Saturday. So, you know, when I think of Chicagoland teens, I think of some of the most dedicated Christians I know, people that are dedicated and want to just spend 24/7 in church and on a bus. But you guys are dedicated to the Lord, and God's gonna bless you guys someday. You might not see it now, but God's gonna bless many of you that for your dedication, especially during this time, just staying engaged and staying involved. It's kind of hard getting away from the Lord during this time. It's easy to get away from the Lord when there's no consistent church, there's not bus workers coming around. It's easy just to get away from the Lord, but it takes a lot of dedication when the bus isn't running to make sure that you're walking with the Lord every single day and you're staying engaged. Amen. And you have a relationship with God, not just when the bus workers are around, not just when the bus is picking you up, but this is the moment during this time that's really going to make or break people that are the real deal, real Christians that aren't relying on the bus or a bus captain to have a relationship with God, but they're doing them on their own.
Thank you. Now, can you leave us off with a message of encouragement during these tough times, and also advice for seniors in high school or in college that are graduating? A little advice for them to take another chapter in their life.
Seniors in high school and college.
Yep, seniors in high school and college.
Encouraging word to you guys. You know, just keep praying that the bus routes are able to run again pretty soon, and the way things are looking in Illinois, it might happen faster than we thought it was. And so you all know, you know, it's not like we're sitting here thinking, how can we take a longer break from this? I'm getting pretty antsy to be able to go back to normal and be able to run the bus routes, but we are thinking of other creative ways to be able to connect with you guys and to be able to have church together. So that's the encouraging word, that it's not going to be like this for much longer, Amen. Lord willing. For those seniors and for those graduating college, I think there's two separate things. There's two separate groups, high school and college. For those of you who are graduating high school, you know, that's the easiest part of life, where you feel confused, and not confused in terms of what you want to do for a career, but whatever you decide to do for a career, whether it's something secularly or whether you decide to, go to Bible college for a year, or if the Lord's calling you, full time with your life. For those of you that have God's calling on your life, obviously, you should, make sure that you find a good Bible college to go to where you're going to get training to serve God with your life. For those of you that are going out into the secular world, just because you're in a secular degree does not mean that church is now an option. And make sure that you guys stay in church and stay faithful. And for those that are graduating college, people think that graduating high school is confusing. But for those people that get a degree and then graduate college, and that's the moment that they're like, now what? Where do I get a job? I don't have any jobs. Where am I going to live? There's a lot more unknowns when you graduate college than there is graduating high school. Usually, as soon as you decide where you're going to college, everything else takes care of itself. You already know where you're going to live. You already know what classes you're going to be taking. And just once you move into campus and get in the routine, it's kind of just flows. But there's more unknowns when you graduate college. But just make sure that you enjoy life. If you're 17, enjoy being 17. When you're 22, enjoy being 22. But live out every stage of your life. Enjoy being in high school while you're in high school. Enjoy being in college when you're in college. Everybody wants to think about what's next. Enjoy the stage of the life that you're in now.
Amen.
And when you get done with college, just make sure that you make preparations and plans ahead of time as much as you can. But then just trust the Lord, because everybody thinks that once they graduate college that they gotta have their dream job and they got to have everything set where they're going to be for the next 20 years of your life, and some of that's a process. Sometimes you look at people that are 50 years old and like, why can't I have that nice house and that job and the car and all those things? And sometimes you talk to those people, that wasn't the case when they were 25 and 26 and 27. Sometimes you just got to wait on the Lord and just let the Lord just help you get there and just enjoy the journey along the way.
Thank you, Brother Brian. Thank you for tuning in with us this week for the ministry interviews.